Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli. Welcome back to the shop, and we've got a brand new video for you today. And in today's shop, we're doing something kind of unique. We're going to be installing a brand new Lowrance Eagle on one of my new kayaks. I'm excited about this because listen, as an installer, I'm not very good. I'm just kind of like the regular guy. Today, we're going to be putting this Lowrance Eagle on this brand new Wilderness Recon 120. I'm super excited. In the grand scheme of things, in 2025, I'm gonna be rigging two different kayaks. This one right here, the Recon 120, is gonna be my light kayak. This is gonna be my kayak that I'm gonna keep light, keep a little basic. This is gonna be used for river fishing, guardrail hopping, going down a trail, dragging it across the beach. This one's gonna kind of be my mobile kayak to do this sneaky stuff with. So a little more limited on how we rig it. And then later, and I encourage you to watch these later videos, we're also gonna be rigging out a bigger, totally tricked out kayak. Kind of want to leave it a secret for now, but it's going to be another cool project. But in this one, we're going to focus on putting this Eagle on, right? And we specifically went with this depth finder because it's really easy to install, it's easy to use, gives you basic important information, and it's going to be the perfect unit for this kayak. Also want to mention that in this build, I'm going to be using the Boonedox Crossbar, which is pretty cool, and we're going to be using some Yak hobby accessories on this as well. So it's a cool build. Get ready. Let's put this thing in. All right, guys, we're going to start out by just laying everything out. So we're going to unbox this Lowrance. We're going to put in place the crossbar. We're going to lay out the transducer cables, the transducer. We're going to kind of lay everything out to understand what we need, okay? So first things first, let's get this Lowrance unboxed. And I'm excited about these Eagles because they make it really simple, guys. These units, you don't have to be a genius to install them. You don't need any kind of complicated equipment, right? Best of all, no black box on any of these to worry about. So we've got the unit itself, pretty awesome. That's a 9-inch screen on that Eagle. Let's see, we should have our transducer, okay? So we're gonna get this kind of all laid out, okay? So we kind of got an idea of where this is gonna go. So we're gonna mount this underneath. And this, of course, has to run all the way to the front. So we'll just lay that out. Let's see here, we've got our power cable. Okay, we're going to power that with a ProGuide lithium battery. And then, last but not least, we've got our mounting bracket with our knobs. Got some knobs in here. Get those out. Okay, let's get this box out of the way. All right, so now we have a pretty good understanding of everything that we need from a depth finder standpoint. On the crossbar, this thing's pretty awesome. Actually, my son Vegas has this same exact crossbar in his kayak, so I know it's awesome. It's pretty heavy duty. Of course, if you look at it, it's on a track system. I'll pop off that little corner so you can see it. Okay, so it's on a track system. So the nice thing about this too is, you know, today we're going to install the Lowrance Eagle, but you know, if I wanted to put other stuff on there, a net holder, a rod holder, a phone holder, I can do that. It's basically typical track mount, okay? For me, I definitely want this bar to be positioned in front of the Helix pedal drive. Again, this is a Recon 120 HD by Wilderness. So we've got the pedal drive system. Putting this in today, I want to lay it out and mark it up so it doesn't get in the way of my pedal drive. And I also want to be able to have that hatch access, right? So we're kind of strategically laying it out to not get in the way of either of those things, okay? So we've got that laid out. We've got our mount, our knobs. We've got the transducer laid out. So I think the first thing we're going to do, let's make it easy, guys. The first thing we're going to do, let's get this Boonedox crossbar mounted and let's get everything set up so it's ready to be wired. All right, guys, let me give you a rundown of what we're going to do to install this brand new Eagle Lowrance unit. So first thing is installing the Boonedox crossbar. We really had to make sure that when we put this thing here, it didn't get in the way of that front hatch, right? Access to that front hatch. And we also wanted to make sure it didn't get in the way of that helix drive, right? We want to be able to pedal efficiently. So we've got this thing placed out. I just used a simple pencil to mark where those bolts are going to go in. Real easy and simple. We've got 4 1/4-inch bolts that we're going to use to keep that Boonedox in place. And then once that's there, we're going to go with this track mount ram. This is a ball and medium-sized arm. So we're going to use this to mount this Lowrance unit on, right? There's our base. It's going to go on real simple. The nice thing about this ram is that, of course, in the track, we can move it left to right, but now this is going to actually allow us to offset it, right? So, you know, like imagine I can cock it off to the right. I can get a little angle on it so I can offset that unit to be out of the way of anything in the middle, okay? So ram mount is going to go right on the tracks. Then for our cable, right? We have to have our transducer cable and our power cable that's going to go to the back of this unit, right? There's our 2 cables right there. We're going to do a really cool through hull kit from Wilderness Systems. The nice thing about this Recon, this is the 120 HD. If you look, it has a recessed area that's going to fit that perfectly, okay? So we're going to drill that out. We're going to have our cables come through. No problem there. And then finally, you know, the last part of this is to mount that transducer. And that's that Eagle transducer that's going to do it all for us. Again, real simple, but all the important information. So I can do down imaging. I can do 2D. I can do side imaging, 100 feet either side of the kayak. And of course, all my GPS and mapping. So that's going to go underneath. We've got a little recessed spot for it. And the cool thing about it is I got this mount. This is a Yak Hobby mount that is specifically made for the new Eagles. So we're going to use that to mount that transducer. And that cable, if you look here, the other cool thing about this Wilderness system is it actually has a recessed little area in the kayak here, and our cable is going to run right through there. And then once again, there's our port. I even have from Yak Hobby, I have these cool little cable tie downs that are just perfectly fitted to go right in these little star X-shaped spots, okay? We're going to router that out, put our cables through there with that same Wilderness Systems through hull, and guys, we're going to be ready to go. That's it. All right, guys, we've marked out the holes for that Boonedox crossbar just with a pencil. Old guy disease, putting my glasses on, and we're just going to use a 1/4-inch drill bit, and we're going to drill these holes out. So I've got them marked already. So real simple. We're just going to remove this Boonedox for a second, get this out of the way. I've got my holes already marked here. This is, by the way, this is always, if you've done some of these DIY projects on your kayaks, it's always scary drilling through. But got everything figured out here, so we're gonna. All right, hole number 1. Okay, hole number 2. All right, guys, we're getting ready to install the bolts on this Boonedox crossbar. The nice thing about these bolts is these came with the crossbar, okay? They're 1/4-inch bolts. It comes ready to be mounted directly to the track, but we decided to go and mount this bar on the hull of the kayak. So we don't need those parts, but we're going to use the bolts. The only thing we did is we added a pretty good size washer and a 1/4-inch Loctite bolt there on it. So we're going to put these in. We can be a little flexible on the position in the bar too until we get it mounted because we don't have it locked in up top yet. So we got a little bit of flexibility there. So let's go ahead and get this bar mount it. All right, guys, we're going to install these bolts, and you know, the reason for this big washer too, if you see it, is we're going to put that washer on the underside just to give it more stability so there's not as much flex, okay? So 1/4-inch bolt, it's going to go right down through the Boonedox hole, and then I'm going to put that washer and nut on. I've got one in, go with number 2. Drop straight in there, get our washer and our bolt. Put my little tiny head in here and see. Hello? Anyone in here? All right, guys, we have the 4 bolts in. Now we're just going to use the Allen key and a little socket to tighten these bolts up. We're not going to over tighten them. Remember, we have that big washer down there, and that's going to give it some stability. It's going to broaden up that spot so it's not pinched in tight. So we're going to tighten these up, and then we're going to go ahead and put on that ram mount. All right, guys, we're going to slide the ram mount on, and then once it's on, I'm going to take the top of that ram bracket off, and we're going to install it on the bottom of that Lowrance Eagle. So regular track mount, so we can go ahead and loosen this up. And then, nice thing about these Boonedox, have little end caps that'll open up that plate. So we'll get that positioned about where we want it. Let's just call it there. And then you just twist these up to tie it on. Let's see. There she goes. Okay, and this is just, we're just going to guesstimate it for a second. Okay, all right. Slide that end cap back on, okay. And once again, check this out. Look, now we can offset that a little bit, right? We can offset it. We can offset it this way, right? It gives us a little bit of left and right, so we can slide it, and we can also offset a little bit. I can put it back. Look at this. I can get it way off of there if I want. If I'm fishing, if I'm flipping or something, and I want to get it way up front, I can do that. But let's get this top piece of that ram off. And now we're going to get this Lowrance base from that Eagle mounted on that ram. All right, guys, we have the ram base. We have the Eagle, Lowrance Eagle base to the unit. Nice thing about these ram bases, see how they're all pre-drilled? So they're pretty universal. So if you're using a Lowrance or a Humminbird or a Garmin or whatever, good chances those holes will match up. So we just want to match our holes up, make sure it's center. And then we have to use longer bolts because of the difference there. So we'll just get that going. I'm going to use a washer on the back side, and our lock nut goes on there. Okay, we'll just get all 4 of these on real quick, and then we'll go back and tighten these up. All right, guys, we got that ram base mounted on that Eagle mount for the unit. So now we're going to go ahead and put it back on our ram arm. Let's get that locked down pretty tight. Okay, and then the last thing, we're going to go ahead and put the unit on now, even though we still have some stuff to do with the wiring and the transducer. We're going to go ahead and slide this on. So it's got teeth on it, so we'll just get it into those teeth. We've got an adjustment nut on each side. Let's get that in there to tighten it up. All right, guys, there you have it. We are mounted. Boonedox, crossbar, ram, mid-size arm. Once again, it's going to let us offset this unit. Look at this. Literally, guys, look at this. I can put it all the way to the side here. If we've got sun glare, I'm able to make that adjustment. If I want it tall and high, I can have that too. So real simple installation. Again, I stink at this stuff, so this is how easy it is. So Boonedox, ram arm, Lowrance Eagle 9 on there. Let's get to the little bit tougher part. We're going to go ahead and put the transducer in and start the wiring. All right, guys, now we're at the back of, this is the Recon 120 HD by Wilderness Systems. Again, keep in mind, guys, this is going to be my light kayak. This is going to be river fishing, guardrail hopping, off the beaten path kayak. So we're keeping everything pretty light, but we have to install our transducer. I went and researched this, and this is amazing. This is a company called Iaconelli. and they 3D print a lot of these custom parts. So this is specifically for the Lowrance Eagle, and this is going to be our mounting plate for that transducer, okay? So real easy. We're going to do some of this stuff right up here for you. So you see it's got the teeth on it that match straight up to the Lowrance Eagle transducer. So we're just going to match those up right like that, okay? We're going to use the factory bolt from the Lowrance Eagle, and it's got 2 rubber washers. So that's going to be our through bolt. So we're going to go ahead and just bring that all the way through. Got a rubber washer on that side, and then we've got our lock nut on that back side. Okay, so we're going to tighten that all down. When we do that, the next step is going to be we're going to get up underneath the kayak. And the nice thing about the Recon, these wilderness kayaks, is it's already got a spot. It's already got a recessed spot for this. So we're going to load that in there, and we're going to use those factory screws and washers from Yak Hobby to put that in. So first things first, let's get this tightened up. All right, guys, we're going to bolt this triple shot transducer. This is the Lowrance Eagle transducer down. Before we do that, let me mention that on that Yak Hobby mount there's an extra hole. So if you wanted to do a little strap around that or whatever, you could do that as well. But we're not going to use that. Let's get this bolt tightened up, and then we'll go underneath and get this mounted. The rubber washers there, so we're not going to over tighten it. We're just going to get it semi-tight. All right, there you go. Nice and tight. All right, let's go and get this thing mounted. All right, guys, let's install this Yak Hobby mount with the triple shot Lowrance. This is for the Eagle. If you look, the nice thing about these wilderness kayaks is they're kind of pre-molded for everything, right? So we got a little spot for our transducer. It's going to lay flush with the bottom of the kayak, and even down to where they have little holes already drilled, little bolts with threads in them. So our screws and washers are going to go right into that to make a nice, easy installation, okay? All right, so let's first get it up through here. All right. Okay, now let's see if we can match this up. Oh, that's sweet. Look at that. Oh, that's so sweet. I love it. Got a little washer. All right, go through here like that. Phillips head. See if we can match that up. I'll get one started. We won't tighten it all the way up. And then get our next one. Hey! Tried getting me. Did you see that? Tried biting me. I can't find the hole. I have this problem a lot, guys. We got it. Man, look how flush that is. That's sweet, dude. All right, there you have it, guys. Look at this installation. Just totally straight, totally flush. This is going to allow us to do our down imaging, our 2D, our side imaging. This thing's going to be perfect. Yeah, look at this, guys. Totally straight and flush and not going to get hit, right? It's not, if you're fishing shallow rocks or you're fishing around a lot of cover, it's totally protected because it sits just inside of the hull of this thing. So perfect, nice, flush, straight installation. All right, guys, we have the Lowrance Eagle transducer mounted on that Yak Hobby mount. We've got the wire fished through that little scupper there. So now what we want to do is we want to get that wire, and we're going to go through this little indent right here. We're going to use our through-hole wilderness system, through-hole system, and we're going to take this wire and go through all the way to the front. Before we do that, we're actually going to thread this cable in this little recessed vein, if you see it here. Again, the nice thing about the Wilderness Systems, they're always thinking about stuff. So they have this little tank well here, and then Yak Hobby has these little cross T-system things, and if you look at them, they go right into place, and they help keep that cable from being loose, right? We don't want that cable being loose. So it's got little rubber grommets. We're gonna pop those out. The kit comes with the screws. We're gonna place those in there, and that'll keep that cable nice and tight all the way till we get to that port, okay? So let's work on that next. Let's get rid of our Wilderness Systems crate. Let's get that out of the way for a second. Let's pop these out so we have a little bit more access here. And then we're gonna get this cable. Let's get this fish through. Remember, this has gotta make it all the way from back here, and it's gotta get all the way to the front. It's a 12-foot kayak, so it's got a little ways to go. Okay, so first thing we wanna do is we wanna get these, little grommets popped out. And just, there they go. Just little plastic grommets. I'll show you what they look like here. Little pieces that had those holes plugged up. I'm gonna get this cable, and I just wanna make sure it's nice and taut, and it's pretty straight. And we're gonna lay that down here, all right? Open up my bag, get some screws. And this is actually a 4-pack. We're only gonna use 2 today. But we've got our screws. And before I get it all the way tight, I just wanna make sure that's nice and snug. This is amazing. It's such a, shout out to Yak Hobby. It's such a simple little 3D printed part, but it's going to really make this installation a lot cleaner. So shout out to Yak Hobby for that. All right, we're almost there. Make sure that's nice and taut. Okay, got one down. We're going to keep this moving up. It's going to keep our cable nice and straight inside this little vein of the tank well here. Okay, there you go, guys. Got our cable nice and straight. It's not going to get caught. It's not going to get in the way of our Wilderness Systems crate or anything like that. All right, the next thing we got to do, we still got, if you look at this here, guys, we've probably got 10 plus feet of cable still. So we're actually going to drill this out to install this through hole kit. So guys, we're gonna drill this out, and this little recess spot is exactly where that port should go, right? And it's perfectly sized. All this is by Wilderness Systems. So the other cool thing, and this is how well thought out this is, if you look, they have a little star that marks your center spot. So when we go to drill this hole, literally, we're just gonna stick it on that star and get this thing cut out. Once we get it cut out, we're gonna open up this rear port hatch, and we're going to be able to install that through hole kit and get it to the front. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and drill this out using a step bit. I never even heard of this thing until today, but it's got that little star, so we're going to go ahead and kind of put the tip of that bit right there. By the way, let me stop and say that with the step bit, you've got the sizes marked all the way up the bit. So we want, for the Wilderness Systems through hole, we want 1 3/8 hole. So if you look, the last little step on this bit is 1 3/8. So it's going to give us a real easy way to mark this as far as size goes. All right, guys, look at how clean that is. Dude, I got to get me one of these. I actually borrowed this from my camera guy. He's out there filming right now. Hi, thank you. Very, very cool bit. I've never had that before. So, all right, so we've got our hole, 1 3/8. Now we've got our Wilderness Systems through hole system. And if you look at these, pretty cool little deal here, because they're, if you look at it, let's see. Oh, I see that. That gives you different options. I'm actually seeing this for the first time, guys. So you've got a base. That base is going to go on the inside, and then you've got a little rubber lock washer there, and that's going to thread onto that, so that's going to go through. But we need to get our cable through here. So you see here, it's giving you a couple different options. So if you were wiring something that had some smaller wiring in it, you've got a little small 2-hole option there, but we're going to take that thing out because we need the big one. Okay, we got our base back, we got our little rubber grommet, and then we're going to replace that because we're going to put in this bigger single cable. So we're going to get rid of that little 2-hole one. It actually comes with 3 options. So little hole, medium hole, and big hole. All right, so we figured out we want that big hole grommet in there. And then we've got our little sleeve here, and that's just going to give us a little level of safety as far as water access, okay? So we're going to put that thing on first, okay? Gonna get that in there. Just put that through there get this hold through. And just hold it there for now. This doesn't have to be perfect. Trust me, guys, I'm figuring out how to do this as we go too. So I am definitely not a boat builder or carpenter. So we've got our washer in the back. That's going to be a little back plate. Then we've got to get our fitting put on, okay? And that's going to marry up like that. All right, there you go. And then the last thing we need is this rubber grommet we got to get back in there. And it's got that little hole in it. We want the T side of it facing up, so we're going to thread it over our wire. You're literally just going to kind of like jam it in there, guys. This is a tight seal. So you really got to work to get it in there, and then use your finger just to make it flush. But look how clean that leaves that seal, okay? And then we've got our hole drilled. Look at that perfect fit, by the way. That's what it's going to look like, guys, once this is totally installed. Nice, clean installation. All right, the last thing we have to do here before we fish that wire all the way to the front is we need our back plate on. And that's basically going to thread this on so this doesn't move around, okay? So we'll do this last. Then we're going to fish that wire all the way to the front, and then we're going to hook it up to the depth finder. All right, guys, we're almost done here in the back. But remember, after we fish it through, we got to repeat this whole process in the front to allow that transducer cable and the power cable to come through another little port, okay? So we're going to do all this again. So there's our second one. And if we look at it, we need this last piece here to make that port tighten up to the back of the kayak, okay? So if you look at that, you got little ridges that stick out. We want that facing back. So we're just going to thread our cable through that. All right, pull this whole thing through here again. Now we're going to go through the access port, right? Wilderness Systems so nice because they provide all that access. And we're going to literally just follow it through. There it goes. It's threading on, guys. So I'm going to keep this nice and straight with this hand. I'm using my left hand to tighten that up. And I really want to crank down on it so that that rubber seal gets tight and no water is going to access this at all. Port's tight. Let's thread it on. Now we got to fish this cable all the way up to the front, okay? Here's the deal, guys. We got a little plan for this as well. We got to make it all the way up here. And instead of trying to do all this by hand, we're going to use this little fishing tool here that I have. I'm used to rods. This is like ultra light rod here. It's very flimsy, but basically we're just going to make a connection on this with some electrical tape, and then we're actually going to use this to fish it all the way through to that front hatch. Hopefully that's how it'll work. It's temporary until we can get it fished up there, okay? All right, I think that should be good. There you go, guys. Let's make sure. Let's double check everything. Huh, that was fishy. Little bit of difficulty fishing it through there, but once we got it, we're able to get that cable all the way to the front. All right, now what we want to do, guys, is we want to replicate exactly what we did in the back as far as creating a port to allow our transducer cable to get to the unit, and we're also going to have that power cable get up to the unit. So once again, on the Wilderness Systems, this is the Recon 120 HD. If you look, they actually have little recessed ports on either side. So we're going to make that same drilling, we're going to drill that same hole in that port. We're going to bring these cables up, and we'll be ready to hook up the depth finder. All right, I just slid my depth finder over on the Boonedox bar. I'm going to pop off that little cap just to give me some more room. Once again, on this little recessed spot on the Recon, it's got a little star. So the star gives me a space to drill, gives me a marker. Put that tip of that bit right on that star. There you go, guys. We got that port drilled out. Okay. We're going to undo our cable from our fishing tool. And we've got, that's our wire there. So there's our base. Get the back of that. We're going to thread that into that. We're going to fish our cable through. We want to put our little rubber gasket. And we're going to pop that rubber piece out of there. Ah. Okay. We're going to get that on there. All right, so I got that threaded piece on there. And I got the rubber washer on there. And then like that. Then the big one is going to go through there. And we get the power cable through the small side. Okay. Now this will get jammed in here. Okay. Nice tight fit there. There you go. Nice and tight, okay? So, power cable, transducer cable run through. Let's slide it back just to make sure we got a fit here. Maybe about right there. Okay. Bring it off to the side a little bit. Okay. Nice thing about these Lowrance Eagle units is real simple connections too, okay? So we got transducer, we got power. I can just kind of guesstimate what I need here. Simple connection, no threads or anything. I need a little bit more here. We've got our transducer. Simple pop in again, ready? Boom. There you go, clicks in. Now we're ready to go. All right, last thing we got to do, guys, up here is we have to prepare the power source. We're going to be using a Pro Guide 50 amp hour lithium battery to power this. And we're going to wire it into a male-female harness to the battery. And of course, we're going to just use a little fuse, a little 10 amp fuse on the positive side. So let's power it up. Let's see what we got. All right, guys, we have it all wired, all rigged up. The one thing I thought about after I did all this is that the way this front box is set up, where I'm going to have my Pro Guide battery, I actually think I want to take this power cable and I want to do a through hull here as well. So I'm going to order another Wilderness Systems through hull kit. So instead of having that wire pinched, that wire will come through nice and clean. I'm also, going to put a female side to this, make sure I have that fuse rigged in line as well. But for today, I just hooked it up to the battery. It should get power. Are you ready for this? We're going to try to power this Eagle up for the first time. Let's see if we did a good job. All right, guys, moment of truth. Success! There you have it, guys. That's that brand new Lowrance Eagle 9 powering up on this Wilderness Systems Recon 120 HD. Keep in mind, guys, this build was from a guy that is not very good at this stuff. So easy to install. The Lowrance made it easy to install. The Wilderness Systems, easy to do stuff. So very nice installation. This is going to be my riverboat, my guardrail hopper. So I want you to keep your eye out for more videos on this rigging. Just to give you a little hint, I think there might be a Newport motor going on the back of this thing next. But keep your eye out for more rigging videos on this kayak and another one coming up real soon too. I hope you enjoyed this shop, guys. Doing some DIY kayak rigging today, Lowrance Eagle, Wilderness Systems Recon. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you're watching, if you like these shop videos, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're already a subscriber, tell your friends about Mike Iaconelli Fishing on YouTube. We're here to hopefully help you learn a couple things, teach you some stuff, even installing like this. I'll give you a few tips. So hope you enjoyed this video. I think I'm going to take this baby out fishing. So bye. Yes. Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli out in the shop. Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, you have to check out that one, and I hope you like them.